This huge statue is Colossus fighting Juggernaut. See what I did there? Kitty Pryde's back here too, by the way. The great thing about this statue is not the massive size, it's not the fact it's 3 characters, it's the fact that Juggernaut has a switch out where he's half naked. Unfortunately, Colossus is fully clothed, but we've seen plenty of Silvermen naked, like the Silver Surfer. And, believe it or not, I heard on good authority, Kitty Pryde is naked from the waist down. Hey, my name is Mr. X. Welcome to the Extreme Channel. We are giving away $1,000 statues to you guys. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Welcome to another custom statue review. I am so torn on this quarter scale diorama. So it's an X-Men diorama. You have Juggernaut, who's actually related to Charles Xavier, the leader of the X-Men. He's fighting Colossus. You see a huge matchup between them, not only in the comics, but even in like Deadpool 2. And then Kitty Pryde, who usually sits by Colossus as well. So they're fighting Juggernaut here on a Sentinel base. So as you can imagine, it's going to go fantastic with the line of statues behind me. Now, I actually sold 3 other statues for this one. While it wasn't to afford it, it did more than cover the cost. It was because I had some other statues of these characters. If you recall, I owned a few different Juggernaut statues, including Sideshow Collectibles Juggernaut, and I sold that after a while, but most recently I sold this custom right here, which was more of a realistic take. I know it looks like the movie version, but it's not. I sold this Colossus statue, which was one of my favorites, and I still regret it to this day. And then, of course, I had this custom Kitty Pryde. But now, I don't need any of those because I have it all in one statue. And there are a lot of really amazing things with this statue. And a lot of questionable things. Not a lot, but a few that we're going to cover in the review today. Overall, I am a big fan. This is just daunting how large it is. The review is going to be a little bit longer today because I am going out of my way to explain that it's going to be longer, but also there are just a lot of nuances, a lot of things we definitely need to talk about. So if you're unfamiliar, Colossus, he's a guy that turns into steel from Russia. He has super strength, super endurability. Juggernaut, very much the same way. He's a mutant that is unstoppable. That's why he's called the Unstoppable Juggernaut. And he has some mystical magic armor that also helps him. Kitty Pryde can phase through things. Now, sometimes concept and design are correlated, and that is the case here. So before we dive into the issues I'm going to talk about, I want to show you Kitty Pryde right here as part of the concept. So what's great is you only see part of her body because she is phasing, and anything she touches, she phases as well. So not only do you only see part of her body, but you only see part of Jug's foot because it is phasing into the Sentinel, which is assumably slowing him down. Speaking of the Sentinel, that's the base. I love that. I think it's the chest plate of the Sentinel, and if so, it's a little underscaled. I think that's a little bit of a negative, but if they wanted a true chest of a Sentinel, it would be absolutely huge. But this is very nominal, not a big deal. Juggernaut is smashing it, so the Sentinel is being torn to pieces just by his tremendous weight, and he is leaning back because he's in the middle of a fight. It's apparent he's in the middle of a fight because his clothes are torn up, they're ripped up. He has some damage not only to his giant fists that you see, but also to some of his portraits when we do some close-ups. And Colossus is jumping into him. Super dynamic, ready to punch him. In this particular switch out options, he's trying to rip off Juggernaut's mask that protects him from Charles Xavier, and he's already ripped off part of the front, you'll see in the close-ups. But a lot of rage going on here, a lot of action, very dynamic, which is crazy because typically a statue this big, you don't see this much of a dynamic aspect to it. So I think the concept is amazing. I think it's 5 out of 5. Again, you get 3 characters in one. That's an advantage, or is it? We'll talk about it. Well done with the concept. Design. There's really 3 or 4 big issues, and I'm going to show the unboxing and assembly first, and you're going to notice some of the switch out parts during that unboxing and assembly. Check it out. One of the craziest unboxings I did in a while. Look how big these are. One weighed 100 pounds. And they had some crazy art boxes as well. Unfortunately, you had to take the entire art box out to be able to get it out, but here's some pictures of that, and you can see by my hand how big it is. This was bigger than my 12-year-old son, the very large box. But there were 3 layers on the standard black foam. You can see right here. Additional torso we're going to talk about. The base is huge, as you can imagine. And the last box right here.
Previously on X-Men.
So as we get the dimensions, I don't know what's front and back. We'll just say that the widest point of the base is about 25 inches. Takes up a lot of room. And then the deepest part is about 18. And the tallest part is Colossus's fist. So these are supposed to be quarter scale, 1/4 scale. That's a little over 34 inches. I think there's some scaling issues with this. So Juggernaut, especially based off of some of the ones I've had in the past, he might be slightly overscaled, but I'm okay with that. I don't think that's an issue. Kitty Pryde is overscaled in my opinion. She's very large. Now, she's usually a smaller person, and it's hard to tell because you only see half of her body, but look at her head compared to Colossus. Her head is the same size as Colossus, and I think that's because she's overscaled, but I think Colossus is slightly underscaled too. So I'd say she's 10% overscaled, Colossus is 10% underscaled. I don't know if this was intentional or not, because the creator of this is usually pretty damn accurate. If he was bigger, it may not have worked, just the physics alone, or it may have blocked too much of the statue, which brings us to problem number 2. So number 1 is the scaling. Number 2 is there is no good angles to look at this. You are probably seeing the best angle, and it's nominal at best, especially knowing how great Jug's portraits are. But as you see, the big crime when you're looking at it straight on like this, you have no idea Kitty Pryde's back here. If you try and display it the other way, I don't know how it's meant to be displayed, and we see Kitty Pryde, you don't see any of Juggernaut. There, Juggernaut's face is covered. So you can't see Kitty Pryde and Juggernaut's face at the same time. It's just impossible. And frankly, trying to see Juggernaut and Colossus' face at the same time is an issue as well. Third issue is during assembly. I don't know if you caught it. So he has these little belt loops that actually go up into the torso. Well, as one of the torsos came down, mine broke clear off. I think that's a horrible design. I think you could have just cut them off and not even used them, and nobody would have noticed. And I'm betting mine's not the only one that broke. That's a pretty minimal issue. I'm going to glue it back in. Mrs. X can do some touch-up paint, no problem. Third issue I have with it is sometimes I like when they put little Easter eggs on a statue of who the creator was. They did that for this one. Check it out right here on the Sentinel chest. Now the problem I have with this is it should have been on the back. But to me, this is the front of the statue. I don't like that. I think that's another negative. Also, likewise, they put the first appearance of Juggernaut on his neck up here. I don't like that. Those 4 negatives, I wanted to get them out of the way first because there's a ton of positives here. First, just look at this shit. I think the fact that they pulled it off and it works decent other than the viewability, that's incredible. I am really impressed with this. A lot of props to them. Number 2, there are some cool switch outs. So first of all, let's look at those. You have 2 torsos for Jugs. The one you've been looking at right here, I think it's an awesome torso. I love the fact his mask is being torn apart. I would have liked a mask that wasn't torn apart, although I don't think I'd ever use it. Now here is the other torso. He doesn't have his shirt on. Now what's crazy about this is I loved it when I initially pre-ordered it, but I was like, I'll never display that, although it is cool and different because Juggernaut's armor is a quintessential part of him. But I love the tattoos. I love the way that Kane Marco looks without his armor on. And there are 2 different portraits. So portrait number 1, he's being beat up in both. One is he's more smirking, and then the other one, he's a little bit more mad. I love both of these portraits. I think they look great. Now, while I didn't intend to display that, I think I might display that one instead. I know it takes away from the quintessential Juggernaut, but it's just so cool. Now, the next thing on this is Colossus has 2 hands. One is where he's kind of ripping off the helmet. But if you're displaying the non-helmeted torso, you can actually be punching Juggernaut in the face, which flows with what Juggernaut's face looks like. Now, I think they missed some opportunities here. Opportunity number 1, I would have loved to be able to display one of the other heads with the armor. To me, that's the way I would have displayed it. Unfortunately, you can't. This head underneath this helmet is 100% sealed to the body. That was a miss in my opinion. Number 2, like I said, they could have done 2 helmets, one broken, one not broken. While it is cool switch out features, I almost feel like one of those collectors that's demanding more. By the way, I forgot how the bobblehead of me got in here. I had to pause it for a sec, sorry. Now it does have a light up feature as well that I haven't used yet. So here's a picture not lit up, and then here is a picture of it lit up. Again, I don't know what this looks like yet. Maybe it's cool, maybe it's not. So design overall, I think 3 out of 5. Again, a lot of stuff that I would have changed personally, but it's still really elaborate. Now let's talk about the paint and sculpt. It's pretty damn good. I like it a lot. A few areas of opportunities there usually is, but let's do some close-up video, and this is gonna be a long one.
Hey, that's what she said.
All right, so we're gonna look at this one first. Starting with the base, I have seen better Sentinels. There is a lot of detail in there. I think they could use some paint to differentiate it a little more. I love the battle damage though. The cracking and crumbling of the breastplate of the Sentinel here. Wolverine marks, little Easter egg. Some of these wires down here, they could have added some other coloring in there, just, you know, some copper wires maybe. I love how it's ripped apart and you can see the insides of it. There's the plug-in for the light up feature and the button to turn it on, by the way. So they did a nice job. I think the color is really reminds me of Movie Accurate. The other thing is it's cut in half on this side, assumably by Cyclops, because of, or even Psylocke maybe, because of the scoring, which looks really good actually. Nice mix of lava-like hot colors. Kitty Pryde, I really like Kitty Pryde. The way the suit flows makes it look real. Really impressed by that. And I think that's a compliment of the shading. The hair's a little too shiny for me, not that you ever see her. I think she has a great portrait though. Really solid. See a little of the Asian influence you always see, or affluence you always see in her. And the way that Jugs is melting in. Here's some more that tearing apart. So Jugs, and you're gonna see this on battle damage on Colossus as well. His uniform ripped in half. And over muscularized, but that's who Jugs is, so I think that's accurate. But he's been through a lot. You can see all the damage on his armor and outfit. A lot of detail. Look at the buckles and straps and laces on his shoes. Extreme detail, I would say. You know, what I like about this is to me, it's very comic-y with almost a realistic vibe. Here's some damage to Colossus as well, not only his clothing, but even his armor, because Juggernaut is crushing him. I love that tiny little detail, treads on the bottom of his shoes. Paint's incredibly clean, as you can see. And speaking of Colossus, I really like the silver they chose. It might be alkali silver. It looks chromish, but it also looks silverish at the same time, because I think too much chrome on Colossus is a negative. So really nice job with that. Let me see if I can get his portrait too. I think they did a great job with his portrait, especially, you know, it's always tough to show Colossus with his mouth open because of the whole chrome silver effect. They did nice on that. A lot of texture throughout the statue as well. Something's wrong with my focus, I apologize. Back to Kane Marco. Again, I don't even know where to start with this guy. Over bulging uniform, and then when you see his arms and the veins, look at that. He has some brass knuckles that say unstoppable. I think that's awesome. The bandages on his hand look real, along with the blood splatter. So obviously I don't think the blood's from Colossus, although Colossus can bleed, but you don't see much blood over him, so maybe some other people he was fighting with, some other people he defeated. Look at those arms. Really amazing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the rest of the other torso, how it looks up there. But really impressed so far with the paint and sculpt altogether. Some more damage on Colossus there. Let's take a look at the rest. I spoke too soon. We want to look at his helmet, or his helmeted portrait right here. He actually has some broken teeth, which I think is awesome. It's bloody. You can see Colossus ripping away the helmet and Kane screaming. Eyebrows a little bit big there, but pretty cool as well. All right, so he's only half put together. If you want to see what he looks like, check out the Extreme Channel's social media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. The link is in the description below. So now what they did is they made all of his tattoos protruding, so they're actually coming out. That made it easier to hand paint each one, as you can see. So up close, you can very much tell that, but from a distance, I think it looks really good. So same comments about the bandages on this piece right here. Ooh, let's see how close that is to hitting. Hold your breath. Yep, gonna have to readjust this. Let's see if he'll turn around this way. You can see his back. Slowly. All right, so again, some awesome back tattoos, unstoppable, super muscular, super bulky. Now, one thing they didn't do is they didn't go with all the veins that they had on the other one because the tattoos mostly cover those up, and I think it would have looked a little wonky. But otherwise, it looks like a very similar sculpt. Some awesome tattoos. Here are the portraits up close. I think they did a really nice job. Battle and bruised. There's some blood in the hair. That definitely looks neat. Let's go over to the other portrait here. A little bit better lighting. And here's the other one. So this one a little more pissed off. Just a little bit more of a curling lip. I like them both, and I like how his eyes are adjusted to look right at Colossus hitting him. Follows the make of his body really well. So that's it for paint and sculpt. Starting with the paint, I have to give it a 4 out of 5 overall. I'm really impressed, especially on the bodies of both characters. I like it a lot. And I'm going to go same with the sculpt. Some really cool portraits, some fantastic damage to the bodies, some intricate detail. 4 out of 5 as well. You know, a lot of times when they make a statue like this, they do an amazing concept and kind of help that overlap some of the lack of other things. But I appreciate the fact that that wasn't the case here. So overall, am I happy? Was this worth it? So this costs only $1,500. $1,500 is how much this costs. That blows me away. Shipping for those huge giant boxes was $600, I think. So it's $2,100, but you get 3 characters. Now I think I sold those pieces for probably around $4,500. So I win in my opinion, because I think this does do a very good job replacing those characters. I think the value is fantastic. Now, the problem with the value though is if I'm gonna reship this to someone else, if I wanna break even, I probably gotta charge $2,500. I don't plan on selling this anytime soon, but I still think the value is a 4 out of 5 because they made 60 of these. That's very rare. While there's a lot of great options for these characters, who else has this kind of amazing display? You know what I thought of? So I have one of the old turntables. I might put this on a turntable. It's going in the back corner. I'm moving Kingpin. It's behind there. See that back corner? That way I can move it around a little bit. I think I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to disassemble him to move him. Thanks for that extra special glimpse into your life, Mr. X. Does he have the X factor? Is he 5 out of 5? Yeah, he is. This is a 5 out of 5 statue. Again, that's not a cumulative score. That's how awesome is it? Are you drawn to it? For the record, it doesn't have presence. You want to know what fucking presence means? Look at the dictionary definition right below there. That's what presence means. So if you say your statue has presence, you're not lying, but every statue has presence. It's a state of being present. What do you guys think? Did I make the right decision? I want to know that. Throw that down in the comments below. Trading up those. Keep in mind I made a couple $1,000s profit too. But I do, and it saves space, I guess. I like this better. Thank you to the creators of this. Awesome, awesome statue. Super happy to have it. But throw that comment below. Give me a like because that could win you a statue. As we try to grow this channel, we like to reward you guys for watching and subscribing. So because of that, every 5,000 milestone when it comes to subscribers, we give away a couple $1,000s worth of statues. We've actually given away over 20 statues. To win one was easy. First, you gotta be subscribed to the channel. You'll get bell notifications when videos drop. Each video that drops, you wanna make a comment on those videos. We pick a random video, we give away statues based on a comment. You can say whatever you want. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. I say that every time. I mean it every time. This is cool. I really like this. So hopefully you liked watching it. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.